Good morning. Good morning. No, that's better. We'll keep that in. Episode 15. How are we doing?
I am absolutely well, my friend. Your good self?
I'm very well. And today we have
On my
another.
left.
On your left.
On my left this
On
time.
your left. Hilary, introduce yourself.
Good morning. I'm Hilary Bevan. You two both know me, but I presume the people who are listening don't necessarily
No,
know
they
me.
won't.
I thought you said YouTuber then.
No, you two people.
Hilary Bevan, YouTube phenomenal person.
So episode 15.
Yes.
We thought we'd have another guest, and unfortunately Jason can't be with us today, but he'll be coming back in.
Right.
But Hilary, tell us what you do.
So I do VAT consultancy, which is really great because everybody hates VAT, so they're really happy to see me because
can
I'm
imagine.
taking it off them, doing the bit they don't like. So I help firms of accountants, businesses, charities who don't have their own in-house VAT person. If they're buying something, they don't know if they can get the VAT back. They're selling something, they don't know what rate of VAT they should charge. They give me a shout and I help them get it right.
So my first thing that sticks in my head when I think of Hilary is we were doing some photos for the building and some interviews, and what appeared in Hilary's hand when I was taking hers is this massive book.
The orange book.
What is it?
The orange book with all the VAT legislation.
It's huge.
Yeah.
And you don't just have one, you've got all the editions, don't you?
Because you have to keep each year because it gets re-released every time there's a Finance Act. It changes. So you have to know the current year, but you also need the past year because HMRC can go back 4 years to look at corrections. So you need to know what the rules were 4 years ago as well as what the rules are now.
Goodness me.
So in my head I was like, hi, I'm Hilary and I know all of this. I was like, that's the best advert.
Plus 4 years back.
Plus 4 years back,
Plus 4
yeah.
years
Yeah,
I don't know it all. That's why
Yeah,
I've got the book to look it up.
That's what you
Nobody
told
knows,
me.
Hilary. Yes, you do know it all, don't you?
I know where to look in the book to find the answer.
Yeah, but I
It's the
was
same
like,
as me. I know where to Google.
where's that?
I have no idea. No,
Oh,
so-
okay,
no,
no
so-
worries.
no,
But yeah, so what is your other role?
I have lots of different roles. But
Oh, really? I only know
yeah,
two of them.
Da-
Tell me the other one that I know that we're here on Wednesday night.
I am a director of Darlington Business Club, along with Jason, who's not here today. And it's a really great group of people. So it started off when I joined, mostly, I guess, as a networking group, connecting different businesses. Through COVID and beyond, it seems to have morphed into a support group almost. So people give each other advice. Someone started and they say, I don't know what type of insurance I need. I don't know where to go to get it.
What's
Are there
this
any grants
VAT
available?
thing?
Yeah.
Where's the book?
What do I need to do? Who do I need to talk to? And everyone's really supportive. Even though there's lots of people in similar industries, everyone really helps each other and points each other in the right direction. So it's just a really, really lovely, supportive group of people.
So
I think so.
I'm now going to rewind back to our introduction because I
Yep,
felt
yep,
we
yep,
needed to
yep,
do
yep, yep, yep.
because you were going to say how was your week. I'm going to ask you how was your week because I know you're going to talk about something on Wednesday night, but I thought now we've got context. You can. How was your week, Andy?
My week was really, really good, thank you. Exceptionally busy, and on Wednesday night we had a Darlington business
Oh,
meeting.
did you?
We did. Jason and Hilary were there, along with the Hippodrome Operatic...
Darlington Operatic Society.
Sorry, thank you. Darlington Operatic Singers singing some Christmas carols, which was very, very nice.
It was good.
And the hardest Christmas quiz in the world.
Me and Andy and Michelle
Yeah.
and Jill, my mother,
Yes.
we were all in the same team on the quiz. What did we get? 6.
6, which actually what turned
Out
out
of
to be
20.
not too bad.
But
Third.
bear in mind, even the people who won got 9 out of 20.
Yeah,
That's how hard it was. So 6 isn't bad.
You were quoted saying it's a sign of things if you're, what is it, winning on 45%? or
Yeah.
something?
I turned round to Adam and I said, "Typical." Hilary immediately boils it down to mathematics
And percentages.
and percentages and other things. She could have probably said, "and 6.7, 2.3333 recurring percent." But yeah, it was a very hard quiz.
It was.
I chastised Jason and went, "Where on earth did you get them questions from?"
I think it's because the answers were so specific, like what year did something happen?
Yeah,
And-
well,
and unless
Andy
you got
wrote
the exact year-
1806 for the first one, and then there was what year did something else happen, so he wrote 1807 for the next.
Yeah,
I was like, we're not scoring many points in this
no,
round.
no, no. Although the 18 or whatever I wrote was only 1 year out.
It wasn't far out, in fairness.
Yeah, some of them were not bad because it was what year was the first commercial Christmas card
That was
manufactured and
it.
sold? It was 1843.
Yeah, I put 1806, but it was 1843. So I was like, that's not bad.
Not far out.
Not far off.
Not
It was
far
a good
off.
guess.
The right century.
Yeah,
The other one was the
absolutely.
first TV Christmassy broadcasty thing, wasn't
And that's when I put
Yeah.
1805.
And that was 1923.
I couldn't believe
There
that.
can't have been many people watching it because nobody had a telly.
Well,
Logie and
23.
Baird probably were watching it.
Oh dear. The best thing that I didn't realise, eggnog.
Oh, I know.
Where's it from? And I was like, well, it's in all the American movies.
Switzerland, I think I put, or
Yeah.
Holland, or whatever.
England.
England.
I
We
was
invented
thinking
it.
it sounds Scandinavian.
Yes.
But yeah, England.
Absolutely. Incredible.
Tell me where we find eggnog here. I've not seen any. I'm going to look. I'm going to the supermarket later. I will look.
I
See if
don't
there's-
think I've ever tried
I
it,
don't think
but
I
it
have.
doesn't
I don't
look
think so.
like something that would be tasty.
Sorry, I'm having drink coffee. They don't really sell it in the movies, to be honest. It normally comes
No.
on. Yeah, so
If you go to Morrison's, though, and ask the helper, say, can you got some eggnog, please? He'll just
we're
look at you.
not sponsored by Morrison's.
No, no,
If
no,
Morrison's
we're not.
are out there and would like to sponsor us,
Yeah,
please.
they're very kind of you, thank you.
Yeah,
But
every little helps. Oh no, wait,
no,
that's Tesco.
no, that's
sorry,
Tesco,
sorry.
mate.
Sorry.
There's
Sorry.
more reasons. No, that's even.
Terrible. Sorry about the bad puns. So what
Yes.
we're going to do today is...
Hang on.
Oh no, wait.
How was your
Oh
week?
yeah,
Hilary?
sorry.
Actually, excellent. I've had a lovely week. Really, very busy.
Not
but-
been in work?
No, I've done lots of work,
Yeah,
but been
good.
to Darlington Business Club meeting
Of
on
course,
Wednesday night
yeah,
for all the
yeah.
Christmas carols, where I learned that I actually know the first verse of every Christmas carol and none of the other words.
I think that's the same for everybody.
Probably right.
And then yesterday I was at the Business Growth Lab at Innovation Central.
Yes.
That was really interesting, hearing about a company that's doing vertical farming of mushrooms.
I've heard about these.
It's really exciting.
Based
really interesting.
in Innovation, they've got an office in Innovation Central, haven't they, over the way, I think.
Very possibly. That might be why he was there talking about it. But
Was he a fun guy?
Oh dear. Sorry, where's the... Oh, there we go.
You should have pressed that one.
No, not that one. That one.
Oh, you caught me out with that last week. So that actually does sound quite
It
interesting.
was actually, I've been to about 3 of those Growth Lab events now, and they've all been really interesting because it's always talking about someone, a normal person, but just who's had a vision and grown their business, and it's been really exciting and really inspiring.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that links back to your Darlington Business Club, isn't it? That's where me and you met in terms of that, and we've been members for God knows how long ourselves, and I've always found it being very supportive. You just help everybody. There seems to be no, well, I can help you, but I need to charge you. It's just like, no, what do you want? I'll help you out.
Yeah, that's what's lovely about it. Everybody's really nice. And I think Jason's got to have a lot of credit for that.
He
Because
has.
Jason's been involved for... I've only been a director since 2020. Jason's been involved for over 15 years. So it's...
We must be near
put-
enough the same, me and Michelle. She was originally a member, then committee member, then stepped down. But we're still a member of it, so it's really, really
Yeah,
good.
you guys give us a lot of support. It's really
Yeah.
good. Like every event, you're always the first ones to say, yes, we'll come, we'll be involved.
I
If
know.
we need a sponsor, you'll sponsor it. So, yeah.
But I think it's important, and obviously one of the reasons why we set up this podcast is that both myself and Adam, we're not precious about our information. We just want to give. And again, you'll probably have heard me say this a lot, Hilary, when we've been chatting, and certainly on the podcast. I believe giving is the new selling. You give as much information as you want. Yes, you'll maybe get a person or a company that's like, well, thank you, I'll keep on taking, but you get to know that. Otherwise, you get, do you know what? Resilient, Bevan, Adam from HubSpoke, they've been really helpful. I'll go with them. They seem to be a nice person. I'll do business with them, and certainly that's where I've always felt with the business club. It's just such a lovely atmosphere, and you get to see people, you chat, you catch up, and then it's just like, oh, I've got a question about something, VAT. Oh, have you met Hilary? Go off and see it, and you will be as helpful as anything.
Yeah, I think it's really... Because when you run your own business, it can be a bit lonely. So to have that whole group of people where you can just say, I don't even know where to start here. What do I need to do? And someone will say, oh, I know someone else who's had that. They can look at that. It's
very good,
nice.
very good.
I think just in Darlington as a whole, it's a really good business community that we've got, and everyone does help each other. Everyone is really generous with their time and their knowledge.
I think that's the thing, especially pre-COVID. when I was sort of still very much in startup. I feel like we're always in startup mode, really, but still very much in startup mode. It was you'd go to networking events. Obviously, you're looking for opportunities and work and this, that, and the other. But it takes a bit of learning, I think, to do networking well. And I think what the business club gets right is it is more of a community. So, for example, there was no selling going on necessarily. It was more
Buy teams.
Buy Andy's teams. But it's more people helping each other out, people looking out for each other. And also, we sat and listened to carols, had some food, coffee. Hey, how's it going?
Had a quiz, had a bit of fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think I've ever been to a meeting where somebody's tried to sort of like sell me something.
No, we're very laid back, aren't we? It's nice.
Very laid
nice
back.
atmosphere.
Really nice. Yeah, no. Right. So it's a shame Jason couldn't be here. I hope you get better well, my friend.
I hope he listens to this and is pleased that we're talking about the business club.
Yeah,
and,
100%.
and hears how much we appreciate it. It is a great organisation.
The business club's great. I mean, we've
It
done.
really is. I don't like
lunches.
Jason that much, really. I've never liked him, really. I'm just saying it for the podcast.
Alina, real. Hey, Dad.
Oh, no, not again.
So the business club is really sort of a good part of the business community. I can't stress enough, and we've talked about it on here, about how important it is to build relationships. I mean, like I said, we're two different companies, but we work together.
Yeah.
And it's having time to play to your strengths and this, that, and the other. But with something like that, for example, absolute minefield, I can imagine. Oh, he's gone. He's gone.
Somebody mentioned that.
Yeah.
I was in a meeting the other day and we were in somebody's kitchen and the dogs were there and there was a noise like that and it was because the dog had fallen asleep while we were talking about VAT.
So
see, you've got the power to bore. No, not bore. That's unfair.
To bore a Labrador.
To
to
bore
sleep.
a Labrador. Yeah.
Labradors don't need encouragement.
No,
in
they
fairness.
don't. To go to sleep. No.
But I think for me, in terms of how long have you been trading and what has been sort of your journey to today, that'd be good to know.
So I've been going just over 5 years now, and I think starting a new business is always going to be scary. And before that, I'd worked at the same accountancy firm for 20 years, so I had no reason to leave. I loved where I worked, loved all the staff, loved all the clients, loved the work, but I'd got to the point where I wanted to do just VAT and not any accounts anymore, and it's harder to work with other accountancy firms while you work at an accountancy firm.
Very much so.
They don't want to give you the questions. And me kind of getting to that point of thinking coincided with this guy, Barry Braham, who I've known for years through the VAT Practitioners Group. He was at the point where he wanted to retire, but didn't have anybody to pass the business on to. So we started talking and it just all fell into place magically. So he retired and stepped back, wrote to his clients and said, I'm retiring, here's Hilary's details, I'd suggest you come and use her. And actually everybody did, which was lovely.
Wow.
And they're all, so I was really lucky because it was much less scary than starting completely on your own.
Less scary, yeah, exactly, but still a huge, huge step. 20 years in a company, you knew it like the back of your hand. Comfort, and we talk about this a lot. To set up your own business, you really do have to step out of your comfort zone.
Yeah, and that's it, going from knowing you're going to get paid on the 25th of every month, whatever happens, to thinking, what's going to happen now?
Yeah, so
what if no questions come in?
No, luckily you got all of those customers from your very good friend there, but even so, that's still a risk because they could have used you for a while and went, actually, no, it's not working.
Yeah, and it could be that they were already talking to someone else, but they used Barry because they'd known him for, I think, 16 years he'd been doing it for before he passed it to me. So, yeah, they could have easily gone somewhere else, but it's just worked brilliantly. They're all lovely. I get on really well with everybody because it's the sort of thing, people who don't work in VAT might not really know how it works, but a lot of it is actually discussing it with people, getting to the bottom of it, because you need to know exactly what a product does. If you're doing a research project into a piece of land, how connected to the land is it? What is the client going to get at the end? Are they getting a report? Does it relate to the country as a whole? Does it relate to one bit of land? There's all sorts of questions. So it involves a lot of chatting with people and talking to get to the bottom of it. So everyone's really nice. I always have long conversations. Even though I'm on my own, there's actually a lot of interaction with other people and a lot of chatting.
I thought you were going to say really long conversations, even though I'm on my own. Oh dear.
Just talk to myself.
Oh dear.
Read my book.
Hello, Orange Book. How are you today?
Well, sometimes I do talk to my orange book, but yeah.
Uh-oh. Can we cut now, Adam, please?
Yeah. I mean, for us, on the HubSpoke Media side, it's our first year VAT registered this year, and from my experience, I was like, I understood what it was. I understood what's required. I did see it as a bit of a mile marker as well in the business because it is turnover driven. If that makes sense.
I suppose I was lucky I did it from day one because I do sell hardware. So it was right. My accountant said, no, VAT registered from day one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and luckily you can reclaim for so many years and we sorted all that out, which is great with the equipment that we buy, but we're not selling hardware in the same way that you are. But and then you go, oh, okay, you're building up to it, you go, right, we're going to go for it. You go through the first process, the first return and all that sort of stuff. And then you get into quarterly accounts. And then all of a sudden you're going, why did I put this on a pedestal? Why?
It's a really steep learning curve.
It is.
And I think the difficulty is, obviously the legislation has to be written in a certain way because it's law. It's got to be written so it does what it says. But it's really hard for someone who doesn't read that law all the time to understand what it means. And the HMRC guidance is not fit for purpose. You can read a document and it will tell you contradicting things. One paragraph will say one thing and the next paragraph will say something different. So how is a normal taxpayer supposed to understand it? So it's a lot to take in. And there's a lot of talk at the moment actually about the VAT registration threshold and hitting it because a lot of businesses keep themselves just under the threshold.
Wow.
So it's stifling growth and it shouldn't. Tax shouldn't stop a business growing. But lots of people, if they're at 84,000, they think, well, actually, if I get £1,000 more, all of a sudden I've got to register for VAT. It's this huge big thing. What they should do is what you did, see it as something to celebrate. Yes, we've hit that turnover threshold. My business is doing great. Let's keep going. Let's go for world domination. But what a lot do is think, no, I can't cope with it. And it depends who your customers are. If you're selling B2B, not so much of an issue because most of your customers can probably recover
we've
their
had
VAT.
this. So we've got some customers that are sole trader. So they can't reclaim the VAT. So I had to have a chat with them and go, right, well, obviously I have to charge VAT now.
Yes.
It's going to cost you 20% more. I was very fortunate to go, I understand.
Yeah.
You know.
That's when it's difficult. So if you've got, a hairdressers or a cafe or something like that, all of a sudden to put your prices up 20%, you probably can't do it. So you're having to absorb some of that VAT increase. So the Office of Tax Simplification did a review in 2016, 2017, looking at the VAT registration threshold. And there's some arguments it should be made much higher. So you don't have that cliff edge for small businesses and people can actually trade for a lot longer before they hit it. But then there's also an argument, should it actually be a lot lower? Because if you made it, say, £10,000, so nearly every business would have to register for VAT, then it makes it a more even playing field and you've not got people staying just under the threshold.
So here's a very simple question for our people out there. Let's say I've just started my own business up. Should I become VAT registered and what are the advantages or what are the disadvantages should I not become VAT registered?
I think it depends on who your customers are. That's
Right.
the number one thing to think about. So if your VATable turnover goes over £85,000 in a year, you have to register.
Yeah, exactly.
You've got no choice. But you can register voluntarily before that. So if your customers are all businesses who are VAT registered and can get the VAT back, so instead of charging £100, you can charge £100 plus VAT.
Yeah.
It probably makes sense to register for VAT straight away because you can then get the VAT back on all of your costs. So like you said with the hardware that you buy, that it makes absolute sense.
It was an absolute
to do it.
no-brainer.
If your customers are individuals, so if you are a plumber going around fixing people's boilers, things like that, your customers can't get the VAT back and you probably can't put your prices up 20%. So then you'd probably wait until you hit the threshold and had to register rather than registering voluntarily.
Okay, so let me rephrase the question then. I am a plumbing business now. I've reached that threshold. I have to do it. As a company owner, am I thinking, oh, bloody hell? Or am I thinking, actually, like you were saying, treat it as a positivity thing? But again, from a commercial point of view, what are the advantages and disadvantages?
Yeah, so the advantage is getting back the VAT on your costs.
Yeah.
That's the number one thing, which is difficult if you...
Andy's smiling. He does this.
posing.
He's smiling at the camera again.
Again.
You want a reel every week with you. It looks really good, actually. We should compile every week smiling.
You could do like an advent calendar. Every day you open the door as a picture of Andy with a different smile.
Excellent. That would be saleable, surely. No, we wouldn't.
Carry on. So
Sorry.
customers.
So yeah, I suppose the main advantage is you can get the VAT back on your costs if you're incurring them to
Yes,
make
of course,
vatable supplies. Sometimes it's actually good for people because it makes them a bit more, makes them keep their records more up to date, because quite often I used to do accounts and you would get just a carrier bag full of bank statements and invoices at the year end, and nobody, really the business owner, wouldn't have any clue how well they'd done until you got to the end of the year and put it together.
Right.
If you're VAT registered, you've got to be much more disciplined because you're actually reporting your VAT to HMRC every quarter.
Yes, of course. Yeah.
So your records are up to date, and it's much easier now to do it with electronic software.
Oh, gosh,
you can use cloud accounting and actually
To come
keep your
back to.
records.
Yeah, I'm going to share a story.
Yeah,
we're
good.
talking about tech.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
we've
No,
got some tech in.
but I'm going to share
So,
a bit of challenge.
why do customers then try to keep below that 84?
I think partly it's scary that just the thought of putting your head above the parapet, having HMRC knowing about you, even though presumably you are filing income tax returns or corporation tax returns, depending whether you're a company or an
100%.
individual. So HMRC should already know about you. But I think it just is scary, the thought of that brown envelope landing on your mat and the questions that HMRC might ask. So yeah, partly it's not wanting to put up your prices to your customers.
Right.
And partly it is scary. It's a steep learning curve, and it's not necessarily easy to find the information that you need just from doing a Google search and reading the guidance.
Unless there was somebody like you.
Yes.
Well, there we go.
With a big book.
With a big orange
Yeah.
book. So what was your
Oh,
cloud
so
thing?
you talk about digital
Cloud
bookkeeping. I
accounting,
think it's
yeah.
brilliant. You know, I'm
Yeah.
a big advocate for tech, obviously.
Obs.
Obviously, you're 16. So
Hey,
we've
you've got Riz.
Oh yeah, Riz. I was going to
Riz.
bring that up actually.
Well, there you go.
Yeah, Riz charisma. It's been
Oh,
what is it? World's the most popular word Oxford Dictionary.
Yeah,
in the
something
last-
like that.
Something like that.
That's the first time I've heard it.
Yeah, it was
Yeah,
the first
so
time
short,
I'd heard it.
Short for charisma.
Yeah, you've
It's
got Riz.
Riz.
You've got Riz.
I just think you'd make up a word and shorten it. It'd be word of the year next year.
But maybe we should do that.
Yeah.
I'm going to shorten IT to just I. Anyway, I have an eye problem. Right, back to my tech thing. So I love the digital world. I love what technology can do. And I really like my bookkeeping software. Really, and like
I always
using
thought
it.
he was weird.
Yeah, but I do enjoy it in terms of I use it for putting my quotes through and sort of tracking potential work and things like this. It's a centralized record that you can use. However, you'll raise an invoice, you'll send the invoice, and AI is kind of messing me around a wee bit at times. Because what it does is it'll see a transaction come in and it goes, I know what that's for. And so if I've got two clients that have paid the same amount, it'll go, it's for them. And I'll go through and it'll already be associated. You're like, okay, yeah, looks right.
Click OK.
Click, yeah, you're away. And then next thing you know, you're chasing the wrong client because of late payments.
allocated
Because
it
it's
against the wrong invoice.
I didn't. AI did.
Gary, you mean?
Gary AI did.
Gary
yeah.
I did.
Yeah, so it kind of goes a bit too much for my liking, going, I've got this.
Yeah.
And sometimes takes it out of the feet, like not takes it out, but like marks it as done.
So you think that it's... I think that is a tricky part of it, because one of my other roles, I'm the treasurer of the VAT practitioners group.
Yeah.
So because we're a membership organisation, charge a subscription, every single invoice we send out is for the same amount.
Yes.
It's a subscription amount. So every single amount that comes in, it tries to match it against the wrong one. It's got better now, because if the person who's paid puts the invoice number on the payment reference,
Yes.
it will actually match it to that invoice. But yeah, sometimes if someone's name is the name of a company, it can get a bit confused.
Yeah, I've also had, say, an outstanding invoice that's run over, and I go, this is the outstanding invoice. They go into their inbox, they pull up the latest invoice, which has just gone out. They then put the payment reference down for the new invoice. that comes into the account. The bookkeeping goes, brilliant, thank you. This invoice is still overdue because it's just confusion.
Yeah.
So the system isn't always perfect, as you can imagine. But can you imagine the amount of time you spend? I spend loads. I've got to do more later for VAT return, actually. You're constantly sort of. I'm personally in and out the bookkeeping all the time. And this is with help from my accountants that are doing it as well. It's one of the things that I could do without.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's
when
not
it
quite
comes
there.
to do your year-end accounts, it
Oh,
will
it's
be
awesome.
so much easier because everything is already in there and already up to date because you've had to get it right for the VAT return.
Yeah.
So all the questions that normally you would have got at the end of the year when they're putting the accounts together.
Can you remember
You've
what you
already
bought
answered
last
all
July
this.
on this
Yeah.
receipt? What's
Yes,
that for?
exactly.
Exactly. You've already gone through that.
The
each
one that
quarter.
scuppers me the most, I was in the range the other day buying some props for filming, and I got the receipt, thank you, went to the car, got all the way back to the office, looked at the receipt, I was like, that's barely readable. It was like the printer was running out of ink, and I'm like, oh dear. So I've put it in. To be honest, I use a thing that scans the receipts and takes it all out, which is amazing.
It's very good.
That's
AI
a good
again.
side of AI.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's, where's the receipt with the VAT number on? Where's the receipt?
Yeah.
Sort of thing.
You sound like Michelle when I've come back from a shopping trip.
Just do it. Just do it. Just do it. But I mean, look, my experience of that has been positive.
Yay.
I'd say it's nice to be able to, especially on equipment, and actually on reflection, I maybe should have gone earlier.
If you're spending a lot on equipment, so you can get the VAT.
Yeah, like that's good, and subscriptions and licenses and stuff like that we have. So, my experience of it has been positive. The other side of it is like, why was I putting it on a pedestal?
Yeah.
But then the nature of when you're quoting a price, £100 plus VAT to a business, that's fine. To a client, you got to go like a sole trader or an individual. You go, that's £120.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. So
And
it's
it's probably
learning that.
easier if you only do business to business or if you only do to consumer. You know that, but where you're doing
Well, sometimes sole
some of
trader
them are VAT
side.
registered, some aren't.
Yeah.
We've got
Yeah.
some
Majority
we've got
are.
some- yeah, majority of my customers are, but I do have some sole traders, and they every time it's like, is this plus VAT? I'm like, yeah, add it on.
Yeah.
All the prices.
Always quote it. and
Always
say
quote
plus
it.
VAT.
Yeah.
Always, I make sure that you do that. So.
Although there was one thing that I always used to before Michelle hit me, got confused with. She has a simple rule.
Last week, you were telling her she's always right. Now you're saying she always hits you.
Yeah, exactly. She always hits me.
When she came to see me yesterday, she
Oh,
said,
here we go.
She said the only reason she couldn't kill you is because we'd all know it was her.
What?
I didn't think that was funny.
Well, you didn't hear my laugh on the podcast because I turned my thing down to move my microphone. so if anyone's listening audio, you probably didn't hear me laughing, so I didn't laugh.
Okay, thank you.
Sorry.
Anyway,
Not sorry.
sorry. So no, what used to confuse me is that I'd always quote £100 ex VAT, as in, no, you've got to plus it.
Yeah.
You've got to plus VAT. But Michelle's like, no, you put £100 plus VAT. And I'm like, no, it's not plus
either's
VAT.
fine.
Yeah, but Michelle hit me and said, no, it's plus VAT.
See, I think either's fine, but I suppose what you want to do is make it as easy as possible for your customer to understand what it is they have to pay.
Yeah, but I always think easier is excluding VAT, ex-VAT. It's £100 ex-VAT, so therefore add VAT on. But Michelle's like, no, £100 plus VAT. Oh, okay then.
So I think either's okay.
Oh.
What are we arguing over X or plus?
Yeah.
I think I'd say both.
Yeah, but I would go X.
Oh, would you?
Yeah,
Exclude that. I think I'll do that probably slightly
but
more.
last time Michelle's always right.
Yep.
Yeah, so it was
So it's plus, Andy.
it was a discussion that I lost. Michelle always congratulates herself. She runs a democracy in the office. It's a democracy of one. Michelle.
Yeah. He's getting his own back. It's because she's been flaunting around that you said that
Absolutely.
she was right. She was doing it at business club. She was telling
she was,
everybody.
yeah.
Was she?
Yeah, she was.
When we were in here, everyone in the room.
She went, Andy, go put these pens out. Andy was walking around with a resilient bag, begrudgingly putting all these pens out. And I was going to my mum, just walk around behind them and pick them all up. I could do with some pens.
They are the best pens in the
They
world.
are awesome
They are
pens.
good pens.
They've got a little
They're-
torch on the end and they've got a little
Stylus.
stylus, that's it. I was going to say a little
Proddy thing.
It's a prod tablet phone,
But
things like
they've
that.
got a nice weight to them as well. Like
No,
they
definitely.
They feel nice.
And the
round.
thing that I didn't realise until Michelle mentioned it, they've got some kind of coating that makes them healthy, antibacterial or something like that. Yeah, so that's really good as well. I'm like, ooh, that's interesting. So yeah, they are the best.
As you took the pen out your nose.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, and my ear and no.
We'll stop there.
Back on track. Back on track. Back on track. So back to my question about that. So yeah, obviously it's daunting, is what you're saying. For most customers, they're like, oh, I just don't even want to bother. But what I've also picked up is that if the majority of your customers are end clients, not businesses, it actually probably doesn't make sense to be VAT registered.
No, not until you have to.
Yeah. Sorry.
Bing.
Bing.
He's adding his own sound effects.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, I can understand it. So unless you're that way in terms of your business, you're not under that. You're under that 84 limit. Doesn't make sense at all.
No, I think, I suppose it is all about who your customers are. If they're consumers rather than businesses and they're not VAT registered, you probably want to delay it as far as possible.
Okay, so some other questions have been pre-prepared.
Yeah, I've got one in my head actually.
Well, you
Shall I
fire
go
away
for it?
first, mate. Yeah,
So
please.
okay, I'm a decorator.
Okay.
Okay,
I
so I'm
thought-
working
I thought you were
no,
on social
fictional
media.
decorator. Fictional decorator.
Hypothetically.
Yeah.
Hypothetically.
Actually, I've handled a fair few paintbrushes in my time. I think I do okay. So the question is: you're a decorator, you're a sole trader, you are buying litres and litres and litres of paint, but you're working direct to the customer.
Yeah.
So if you were VAT registered, you could reclaim the VAT, obviously, on the paint and
Yep.
tools, but obviously you would charge. What would you imagine? What do you
What's
see
the
out
advice,
there?
yeah?
Yeah, what do you see out there?
Yeah, I think it's that same issue with the plumber type business. It's the difficulty is you can't just put your prices up by 20%
No.
if you register for VAT. But if you do register, so you can get the VAT back on your costs, what you can say is perhaps I don't need to put them up by a full 20% because actually my costs are lower than they were because a tin of paint is now costing me
Less.
£20 instead of £24.
Yeah.
Been a while since I've bought paint. I don't know how much a tin of
Yeah,
paint is.
no idea.
But the paint is actually costing me less, so I can reduce my prices slightly. It's always a difficult one, and I think this is a debate that, like I say, the Office of Tax Simplification reviewed it 7 years ago and suggested there was a consultation into it, and the government looked into it. Nothing's happened.
Hang on, surprised face. Really? Are you just associating that sound with me now?
Yeah.
No, there was no need to be quite as honest. You could have thought
Sorry.
about it for a while.
Ask me again.
Are
Yeah.
you yeah. He's not funny.
Carry
That's always
on.
that was always my joke with my dad. He would ask me and go, son, ask me what the secret of comedy is. So I'll say,
What's the secret of comedy?
no, sorry.
Sorry.
Start again.
What?
Timing.
Yeah.
I'd always fall for it for my dad, yeah. Sorry, carry on.
Sorry. But I guess what we didn't realise is when we have guests in, we didn't realise how much we actually squabble during these podcasts.
We don't squabble, darling.
Well, I think we might.
Shh, let's talk about it later.
We need a counsellor to come on board.
Listen, I love you. Talk about it.
Maybe that's who you should get on as the next guest. Get a
Counsellor,
come
what,
in
to
and-
talk us through our podcast?
Podcast
or a
issues.
mediator.
Yeah. He's always playing the trombone sound on me.
Yeah. He's always trying to press the censor button and playing the trombone sound on himself.
Absolutely. He's always staring at the camera and smiling.
That's you. Yeah,
Oh, yeah,
that's
that's
you.
I wasn't volunteering to be a counsellor.
Well, you're not.
Sorry,
No,
sorry, we'll
suggesting
shelve that.
perhaps
Can you
know,
counsel us on VAT instead?
Yeah.
Exactly. That's
I think your point, though, coming back to the decorator idea, it's a really good point that it sounds in some regards that it's very swings and roundabouts in terms of
Yeah.
your materials cost less, so you that cost to the customer, whilst you will be charging VAT, doesn't necessarily need to be as high, perhaps, or it's a meet in the middle.
Yeah. There's a compromise to be had.
I've always thought, and again, I don't know, I'll throw it open to you, Adam, as well. If a business is VAT registered,
Yep.
does that make them more reliable? Does it make them more... It's a difficult one.
It certainly makes you. I think if you're getting work done, and you see the business is VAT registered, you might think, oh, well, they must be of a certain size.
Yeah,
You think, oh, they
definitely.
must
That's what
have a
I'm
good turnover, they've been going a while,
Yeah.
they're established. Not necessarily true,
No.
because you could register voluntarily from day one. You might have been going a week.
Yeah,
and
we
be
were,
VAT
yeah,
registered.
exactly. No.
And I did. I registered from the beginning. So it doesn't necessarily prove, but it does. Certainly, there's a thing there where you think that they must be a proper business.
I've always thought it added a little bit of gravitas to the company. Oh, they must be.
That's a good way of putting it.
Yeah, a little bit like that. It's whether or not as well we also went, we registered to be a limited company. Because again, what I was thinking from Resilience point of view when I was offering my services and my tech, I was thinking, okay, VAT registered and being a limited company because of professional indemnity and all of that. And I thought it just added that gravitas to me, even though I was only like a month old.
Yeah, it does. There's lots of other reasons why you might do it, but certainly from the perception of the customer is oh, they're a limited company, they're VAT registered, they must be established, they must be a proper business.
Yeah, and I don't mean that against all of the other businesses who are not.
No, because it actually doesn't really.
No, it
doesn't mean that, but the perception of people.
That's what I was saying, yeah, the perception. So it's interesting, isn't it? And again, I love that question, Adam, in terms of like the paint. It must be a balance for that. You know, if you were the company owner, you're like, well, what do I do?
Yeah, what
because
do I do?
I get money back from buying the litres of paint that I'm buying, but I can't then pass that cost on to my customer.
I think in my experience, the best thing about the whole VAT registration process is, as you can imagine, our media kit is quite expensive.
Yeah.
So the VAT percentage is a lot higher.
Yeah.
So to be able to go, well, this camera now costs me, I don't know, £200 less to the company than it did, I'm like, that's actually much better.
Yeah,
if
no,
that makes
definitely.
sense, because it's expensive equipment.
It is.
But then if you go to the level of, say, let's say a tin of paint was £24, if you go to that level, obviously you're going to make a couple of quid back. So
so that
but then
less
it's
of an impact.
the volume in terms
Yeah.
of how you're doing it and this, that, and the other. But I think, you know, my experience has been positive. The nicest thing is being able to go, right, with all the equipment we use, we can recoup that.
Yeah.
Basically.
And that's the thing, it depends on the type of business that you have. If you're buying loads of tech equipment like that, there's going to be a hefty amount of VAT to get back. If you're a more service-based business that doesn't need equipment, if your only cost is the orange VAT book that is zero rated, because books are zero rated, then it's less, there's not so much VAT there to get back if you just provide. It could be because if your only expense is wages and salaries, there isn't any VAT on that. So yeah, it does depend on your business.
There's
You
an
need to crunch the
interesting point.
numbers.
Adam's Rare Bookshop.
Oh yeah, so we've been. I don't know whether you've heard. We've created a rare bookshop in first it was Andy's, then it was Adam's,
Then it's Andy's, then it's
Andy's,
Adam's.
then it's Adam's again. So where were we up to? We're up to like a team of say
Team of
five people.
people.
What the business does is it goes out and sources. It's fictional. Goes out and sources rare books. So
It's fictional, but it sounds very good.
yeah,
It is,
we've created the full thing. It's
honestly.
got teams. It's got all the marketing channels. We've talked about the websites and how we do that. We've talked about how customers could fill out inquiry forms. We've implemented Gary AI, which is like the automated stuff that we'd implement. Have I missed anything there?
No, I think it's good.
And then the other idea is you might end up having to go to, say, Germany was the example that we used to source a book. So therefore the price is a more premium price because we're trying to point out that whilst they are paying for a book, they're actually paying for the service to go
The
and
cost of you getting the book.
find the rare
Yeah.
book. Yeah. So what would you think going on that very little information that's completely fictional?
I would recommend that you register for VAT voluntarily
Right.
because books are zero rated.
Oh.
So zero rating means you don't charge VAT on the sale. Well, you do charge VAT on the sale, but at 0%. So it's not. But it means...
Even I can calculate that.
Well done.
Thank you.
It means you can get the VAT back on all of your costs. So win-win.
Wow.
Zero rating
That's a
is
win-win.
like the ideal, the pinnacle of VAT. If you're zero rated, it's brilliant because there's no VAT to declare to HMRC on your sales, but you can get all the VAT back on your costs. Although there won't be, the flight to Germany is zero rated, so there won't be any VAT on that to get back.
No, he was always taking the train though.
That's zero rated as well.
Right, what is zero? Give us some.
That was
Go on,
embarrassing.
yeah.
You saw my mouth go, what?
Yeah, so zero rated. So go.
So zero rating is brilliant because you get the VAT back on all your costs. The main things that are zero rated in the UK is food. And food is really tricky because only some foods.
Apart from
are
eating in
zero-rated.
at Greg's, that was the
Yeah,
big
so
news article, wasn't it?
catering.
Sorry, Greg's. No, but that was the whole ruling, wasn't
Yeah,
it?
so catering is 20% VAT. So if you're going into a restaurant and eating in a restaurant or in
We're not sponsored by
pasty
Greg's.
shop,
If you want to sponsor us.
that's catering, so that's 20%. But if you go into Greg's and buy a loaf and take it away with you, that's zero rated. And that was the Omnishambles budget from 2012, where the Pastygate, and they were going to put VAT on pasties, and there was an uproar. If you read all of the commentary around it, they obviously think that us poor working people in the northeast, all we do is eat pasties, and this extra 20% was just going to ruin our lives because and it was ridiculous, all the commentary around it. But it came down to the temperature of the food when you bought it, because hot takeaway food is 20% VAT. So if you get a pizza from the pizza shop, it's 20% VAT.
Yeah.
If you buy a pizza from the supermarket that you're taking home to cook yourself, that's zero rated. So it was looking at that.
It's no
sort of
wonder
stuff
people
and the
want you, isn't it?
distinction.
This is a minefield.
So Pastygate was looking at the ambient. If the food is above the ambient air temperature at the time it's provided to the customer. So if you buy it,
So if you get it out the counter, waft it around. Is it
cool it
zero?
down.
Is it if you waft the pasty around and then go, I'll have it?
So, but then you have to think, why is it warm? Is it warm because it's just come out of the oven?
Yeah.
In which case it's all right. It's probably zero rated. Or is it warm because it's been kept warm for the purpose of selling it to you warm?
So if it
In
was
which case
kept
it's catering,
warm,
then it's 20%.
Just madness.
we found the bit now.
That's absolutely.
So we often do pizza for tea on a Friday,
Right.
And we go to a well-known supermarket. And we're not doing that again.
Okay. He could sense.
Yeah.
He could sense I was about to. Oh,
All
okay.
I'm saying is you could taste the difference, right? So,
Right.
oh no, sorry, I'm doing it. So
Yes, I've got him.
So there is a pizza counter in there that they make pizzas and cook. So obviously, if they're cooking that pizza and it comes out the oven,
20%.
20%. However, the ones that they haven't put in the oven that are just in front of the oven, less
Ready
than
to-
20%, ready
yeah,
to put
ready
in your
to-
own oven.
Yeah.
Zero rated. Do you want some more exciting
Yeah.
facts about
Oh
food?
no,
is
the other one I want
Foods.
is what I remembered because you told me the other week it was to do with the biscuit.
Biscuit chocolate.
So this was Blissful, I think they're called, and it's a little cup, so like a little biscuit cup filled with chocolatey hazelnutty stuff with a little bee on the top of it, made out of biscuit. And biscuits are zero rated unless they're wholly or partly covered in chocolate. So the question was, is that biscuit covered in chocolate or is it full of chocolate?
Have we got what the?
Hold on, I don't know. No.
So it doesn't work without the picture. Actually, we should have got the picture so you can bring it up
Hang
on
on.
the screen.
Alina is actually here sorting out cameras. Alina, when we're doing the edit, please can you put the picture on screen, please? What biscuit
If you
is
search
it?
for Blissful biscuits, I think they buy them at Vitty's, and it looks like a little cup, and then it has chocolate in it. And
Yeah,
Right.
so hopefully
Okay.
if you're watching, you can see that on screen.
yeah,
now.
so if you bite, one of the things the biscuit company said to the courts is if you bite into it, the first thing your teeth hit is the little biscuit bee on the top. So therefore, it can't be covered in chocolate; it's covered in biscuit. But then the other side said, well, if only part of it is covered with biscuit, what is the other part? Surely the other part is chocolate. So that was found to be chocolate-covered biscuit, so 20% VAT. But it's similar to the Jaffa Cakes case, which is the most famous
Yes,
VAT
of
case.
course.
that
I was
everyone-
The
about to
Jaffa,
bring
the Jaffa Cakes case. I don't actually know.
I didn't know that one.
You don't know it. It
No.
was even mentioned in the Rover's Return on Coronation Street. That's how
Wow.
big this VAT case was.
Makes you proud to be British.
Yeah. Anything with food is good fun. So yeah, the key thing. So chocolate cake, zero rated. Chocolate covered biscuit, 20% VAT. What's a Jaffa cake? Is it a cake or is it a biscuit?
Soft, no crunch is the argument, as I understand it.
Small, round,
Yeah.
sold on the biscuit aisle.
Yeah.
Have it with a cup of tea.
Yeah, you wouldn't dip a chocolate cake in a cup of tea, would
No,
you?
you wouldn't.
No.
Well,
It
I
would melt.
don't. Yeah.
So it was an interesting question. And so even in the court, they actually made a full size,
I love how this went
Jaffa
to.
cake.
They made a
like a cake-sized Jaffa cake.
Yeah.
So you could cut it in the
There's an
slices.
idea for a wedding cake. Could
Oh,
you imagine
absolutely.
like a
Jaffa.
3-tier
Jaffa
Jaffa
cake.
cake or wedding thing?
That would be good. But you've got it, like, I don't know if you could eat a big one properly, because I like to eat round the edge.
Yeah.
Then take the Jeffrey bit off.
Oh, no,
then have
I've
the
got
sponge, and then have
Even
the chocolate
better
and the
idea,
Jeffrey bit
make
last.
the wedding cake in 3 tiers. Full moon, half moon, eclipse.
Ooh. Yeah, I like that.
That's an old advert.
I don't know that. Shh. I've given my age away.
But yeah, one of the
I
things
just
they
like
looked
how this
at
went to a court
Yeah.
Yes.
with all of this money buzzing around over a Jaffa cake.
Yeah. So, but one of the things they looked at is if you leave it out, what happens to it? It never would happen in my house. It just it would not, it would be gone. But if you leave it out, what happens? If you leave a cake out,
In
goes hard.
Adam's house, the dog gets it.
Yeah,
if nobody got it, if it was high up, so nobody could reach it. If you leave a cake out, it goes hard.
Yes.
If you leave a biscuit out, it goes soft.
Yes.
So a Jaffa cake is a cake.
It's
Was the
incredible,
conclusion.
this, isn't it? Who'd have thought that was so interesting?
I love that.
That's
That is
amazing.
brilliant.
Do you want the marshmallow one?
Go on.
Yeah.
So marshmallows, the normal marshmallow, so confectionery is 20% VAT,
Okay.
but food for baking and things like that, 0 rated. So little teeny tiny marshmallows, like the sort you might put on your hot chocolate or put on the top of cupcakes, if they're on the bakery aisle, they're 0 rated. And then there was a case last year to do with the really big marshmallows, the kind you might
Yeah.
put on a campfire, make s'mores with.
Yeah.
And their argument was that because it was for baking, for cooking, not for sitting eating like confectionery, it should be 0 rated.
It would fill your cup.
And
If you put it in your hot chocolate. A little bit of hot chocolate.
one giant marshmallow.
Yeah.
Oh,
I would like that.
That'd be good.
I'd like that.
I usually put like middle-sized
Get a spoon.
ones on and put
Yeah,
about
just
8 on the
dunk
top.
in it, yeah.
And just eat them.
Right, so what was the verdict?
But yeah, so now if you buy a teeny tiny marshmallow on the baking aisle, it's 0 rated. If you buy it on the sweetie aisle, 20% VAT. If you buy a big giant one that's held out for sale as being for use for cooking, it's 0 rated. If it's just on the sweetie aisle and not held out for cooking, 20% VAT. If you
love
buy
this.
a
This
middle,
is absolutely brilliant.
a medium-sized marshmallow that you would just sit and eat a bag of,
Yeah.
20% VAT.
Right, so I'm going to now sell Adam, but I'm going to make him cold, and people are going to have to take him to the house
To cook him.
to cook him.
Yeah.
Therefore 0%.
Yeah, and you can put me on a cake.
No, you just eat the cake.
Yeah, all right. Sounds good. Win-winner.
The 0 rating does only apply to animals of a sort normally used for human consumption.
That's
Hang
not.
on.
That's
Oh,
not
I didn't
Adam.
think of this. Hang on. So livestock.
Yeah, so sheep, cows, pigs,
Yeah.
0 rated. Horses, not 0 rated. 'Cause
Yes, okay.
although they may be eaten in some countries, they're not normal human
They're
consumption
not.
in this
They're not.
country.
Okay. So does that mean that when I purchase food, like say I do my weekly shop from a well-known supermarket?
Yep.
No, we're not going there. Except I'm patting my ding ding.
Yeah, I was going to say that's
Yeah.
something price.
Okay. So if I'm buying my basket full of goods,
Mm-hmm.
when I take it to the counter, are they automatically going, that's 0, that's 20, that's
Yeah,
0?
the tills will all do it.
Yeah, yeah.
And
Not
when,
that I would
when
ever.
you get the receipt, they'll show it in different ways. So some supermarkets will put a little asterisk next to all the things that have VAT on them. Some might put a little V next to it. Some it'll split it out at the bottom and say there's VAT of this much on your product. So yeah, things like your meat, your flour, your milk, your eggs, all of that's 0 rated.
Right.
But then crisps, 20% VAT. Confectionery,
What if they're on the
20%
bacon now?
VAT.
No, shut up.
What if I waft them? Okay.
But if you take all of these supermarkets, how they calculate profits and whatever, it must be a nightmare for them.
It'll all be done automatically. It'll be in the barcode.
No. But then what I was going to say was that if you're a small shop, with only 2 people in it,
Yeah.
how on earth? I mean, yes, I know there's automation out there which we're going to come on to stuff, but how on earth do they get all of this?
Yeah, and I suppose that's another thing that puts small businesses off registering, because if everything you do is 20%, it's easy peasy.
Yeah.
Just whatever you've taken that day, 1/6 of that is the VAT that you have to pay.
Did you
to
say how
HMRC.
quickly? Just 1/6. You know what I mean?
Just flipping through that book in a
I
head.
didn't just do that in my head. Like, that's
Oh,
just, I
yeah.
already knew it. But if you are a business, if you're a corner shop, for example, and you're selling some stuff that's 0 rated, some stuff that's 20%, it is a lot harder.
It must
So-
be.
Yeah,
So,
especially when they're doing the dee, 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 dee. like numbers. That's numbers. If people are manually
I was sat there going, what on earth is
manually typing in, £3.60 plus £4.80,
Yeah,
and then you go, well, what
which ones
proportion of
have
that is
in?
VAT?
Yeah,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
there are some schemes that you can use to help that. So there are retail schemes where you can look at, say, perhaps if 50% of what you buy is zero rated, you can treat 50% of your sales as
Right,
zero
okay.
rated. Obviously, it's a bit more complicated than that, but there are schemes available to help that type of business and
Okay.
make that easier.
Okay.
Children's clothing, isn't that
Zero rated,
zero rated? But adult clothing,
20%.
so if you can fit into children's clothing,
No chance with me then.
no,
Yeah.
not me.
Yeah, if
A
you
lot-
get children's shoes, there should be, in theory, a sixth cheaper.
Yeah, I've got size 13.
Yeah, it's
never
never
gonna
going to
happen.
work.
No.
So you nicked my question. So one of the other questions I had, slightly moving away from that, can you tell us why do customers, businesses avoid the VAT when they should be legally paying? Obviously, that's illegal. What are the consequences? Why have they done it? Because to me, being VAT registered is better because I can claim back the 20%. So can you give us an example of, let's say Adam goes rogue with his rare bookshop. No, can't do because it's 0%.
Because that's zero rated anyway.
Okay, so
Okay.
is it another bookshop, another shop where it's 20%.
A hot pasty shop in a counter that is
But it
heated.
also sells chocolate bars and confectionery.
Yes. So just give us the example of he's gone rogue. He doesn't want to pay the VAT. Yes, it's illegal, but what are the pros and cons of that?
Well, it's all cons, no pro.
No, but a pro to him.
The only pro is that he's not paying the VAT.
Yeah.
But yeah, you'll get found out. You'll
100%,
get
yeah.
caught. And with HMRC, a lot of penalties are based on behaviour because they know it's hard. So if you hold your hands up and say, I've got something wrong, I'm really sorry, here's the information, I'm putting it right, usually the penalty would be mitigated down to nil.
Absolutely.
Because the idea of it is to help you pay the right VAT, and it is
Yeah.
hard. If you're doing stuff on purpose, that doesn't happen. There will be bigger. So
You drive past and I'm wafting pasties around. turn the heating cabinet off and I'm wafting them, going,
yeah.
no,
So,
we are
so,
the
so
cool.
if you do an error and it's a deliberate and concealed error, 100% penalty. So 100% of the loss.
But how do they find out? Because again, if I go back a couple of years, I remember working with a company and I was purchasing something, can't remember what it was, but to help me out, I think is what he said. He said,
If you pay me cash,
Thank you.
I won't charge you VAT.
exactly. So what's that all about?
Yeah, and that's the difficulty, because how would that ever be discovered?
Yes.
And I suppose probably as people use cash less and stuff is online, that's maybe less likely to happen. HMRC will look at your accounts, and if your accounts show that you've taken £100,000 in sales but you're not VAT registered, that's one way they might spot it. But if you're taking it cash and not recording it in the VAT, you're probably not recording it in your accounts either, are you? And paying income tax on it. So sometimes they'll look online. They'll say, I've had some where they've said, we've seen on this website that you've sold this car, but we can't see that you've declared any VAT on it. What's
Wow.
happened? So they will look at things. They look at popular online auction sites. HMRC will look at sales and see if there's a big seller who's made loads of sales through an online auction site. HMRC might approach them and say, why aren't you declaring VAT? Why isn't this income on a tax return?
But sorry, Hilary, going back to my question then. So let's say I'm purchasing this cup.
Yeah.
It's, help me out with the figures. Let's say it's £10,
Yeah, I like nice
Nice,
round
is it?
numbers.
We'll go with 10.
right? With VAT it's,
£12.
okay, but the guy says, buy it cash and, it's easy for you. So I buy it. Now, let's say I buy it for £10. What's he bought it at, and has he had to pay VAT on it?
Yeah, and that you wouldn't know.
I wouldn't know, would I?
Because it depends if he's VAT registered or
Yeah.
not, who he's bought it from. If he's bought it from a VAT registered trader, which he might not have done. So you as a customer would have no way of knowing
But
that.
I basically got that. Instead of £12, I've got it at 10. He then, I assume, pockets the £12 instantly. Nobody knows about it but him and me.
Yeah,
But if there's a stock sheet somewhere,
Yeah.
where
But
you've
that's
ordered
what
it
I'm
in.
trying to get at.
That's another thing HMRC might look at, what's been bought. So that with pizza shops, if you've bought 600 pizza boxes but you've only declared 300 pizza sales, what's happened to the other 300 boxes? So if you can say, they're still here, we just haven't used them yet.
That's fine.
Here they are, fair enough. But if you can't explain, it might be, we had a leak, they got damaged in a flood, we've had to throw them away.
But as long
Fair
as you've,
enough.
again,
So as long as there's a reason for it,
a
it's not a
legitimate
problem.
reason and you've recorded it or
But
something.
if you've bought 600, you recorded 300 sales, and cannot explain where the other 300 boxes have gone.
But I suppose, again, what I'm getting at is that if we go back to the cups, obviously he's bought 500 cups.
Yeah.
If he hasn't purchased them from a VAT seller, whatever it is, he paid cash in hand.
Yeah.
Literally, all of that is just under the counter. Nobody would know, nobody would find out.
And
Yeah, but I feel people got caught out with this in COVID because do you remember the government putting out support based on people's tax returns?
yeah.
Which, you know, I've always made sure that everything is done
Oh,
prim and
yeah,
proper because
absolutely.
you've got legal
No,
responsibility.
you have. When you're running a company, you
But
do.
when I saw them announce they're going, right, we're going based off your tax returns, I was like,
Yeah, you'd be amazed at the number of people who said, "Oh, actually, I think my tax return might have been wrong that year. All
Ah.
this income that I didn't declare."
really? Right,
Yeah.
okay. Yeah, so when I saw that, it was kind of, I don't know, I'm sure HMRC had a little smile on their face going, well, we're going off your tax returns.
Okay.
And obviously, if your tax return as a sole, this was more for sole trader, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
If your tax return wasn't up to date or correct, you got less support. So the less
Yeah.
you'd put through legally, as you should be, the less you actually got in terms of support.
Yeah, which is quite nice, actually, wasn't it?
Yeah, it
Yeah,
was.
well,
but as you say, I think
there's a reason, you know, and then
Yeah.
they were there to support that. Whether people think governments are wrong or right or whatever, they were offering. I thought there was lots of support out there for
There was.
businesses.
loads of support. I thought it was really
You know,
good.
but yeah, that was a
Yeah.
Yeah.
teller.
It was,
in
wasn't
terms
it?
of that.
Okay, well, that was really interesting. Have you got if you can, put it on the spot, a funny VAT-related story?
Oh, I don't know.
Yeah. That's okay. No, it's
I
fine.
can't think of any off the top of my head because it's mostly it is mostly the food ones that
I love the
we've
food
already
ones.
covered.
They're my
Yeah.
best. Hot bacon sandwich, cook a bacon sandwich. You paid VAT on the packet of bacon. You're charging it out to the customer
So you won't have
Is
paid
that-
VAT because when you bought the bacon,
Yeah.
it would have been zero
Of course.
because it wasn't cooked.
because it wasn't cooked.
Can you
Oh.
buy cooked bacon?
So when you're at the supermarket and you buy the food, you buy the bacon, you buy the buns, you buy the butter, no VAT on any of that.
No.
Ah, right.
But then
okay.
you
I
make
didn't
it
know
into
this.
a bacon butty and you're selling a hot bacon
VAT
butty to the
plus
customer.
VAT. Ah, okay.
Exactly. It's very interesting, isn't it?
So they're in a worse position because they've got no VAT to recover on their costs.
No.
They have to charge VAT. to
Yeah.
So is
their
that why
customers.
they would probably charge more for the bacon butty?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. 'Cause
Now, do you know what that literally I never ever realised it, but sometimes when you buy a bacon
are
butty,
you, and they might say, are you eating in or taking away?
Yes.
So with a
Yeah.
bacon butty, it would always be 20% because it's hot.
yes,
But when you're a fast food chain, some food potentially, if it was cold, might have been zero rated if it was taken away. So that's why you're always asked.
So when
are
we
you
were-
eating in or taking
So if you got
away?
ice cream from
ice cream's 20%,
right, okay, it's not simple.
it's not simple.
It's
even
not
though
cool.
even though it's cold.
But no,
A
when
quiche, a quiche.
Yeah. So quiche.
Quiche.
A cold quiche from a
It's
supermarket.
very British.
quiche, darling.
I'll have a quiche. Yeah, but a
How
quiche.
middle class are you?
Yeah,
I don't know. I was trying to think of what else can you eat. Cold Scotch egg.
Yeah. So if you bought a cold Scotch egg or a cold quiche from a supermarket, be zero rated.
Yeah.
If you buy it warm in
Yeah.
a cafe, even if it's to take away, if it's been warmed up for you,
Yeah.
be 20%.
It makes me glad I'm not doing a catering
No,
business.
absolutely.
They
They are, they
really
must be
have the
the
hardest time. And
So-
even the courts have said, one of the judges said the VAT legislation is not fit for
Not fit.
purpose on food.
Can't be. So what I was trying to say, when I was in London, literally a shop, and I think it was a lovely sushi shop, they had double prices on everything. And it was
Eating and
£1
takeaway.
something on what, yeah. So, and again, is that purely
That-
because,
I would imagine that's why. So if you eat it, because sushi's cold, isn't it? I've never had
no,
sushi.
but sushi was cold, but some of it's hot.
So the hot stuff.
As in
would
not sushi, but you know what
Yeah,
I mean.
yeah, yeah.
But every single thing had an eat in, eat out price.
Yeah, so I suspect that's because of VAT, although it might just be they want to charge you more to take account of the fact
Yeah.
they're then cleaning the table after you
No,
and providing
but I
more
was also going to
service.
say sometimes, you do get a lot of people like, how much for a bacon butty? I can buy the ingredients for this. But of course, they must be saying, yeah, but,
Yeah, you're paying for
You're paying.
not just the bacon butty.
correct? No, for the heating and everything.
Yeah.
I'm blown away.
This
with some
blown
of
away.
these. Yeah, I'm trying to think of other things.
No, stop it. I do want to touch on something because I think, I'm not sure whether it's common knowledge, but we were certainly privileged to it. You're expanding, Hilary.
I am.
I didn't know that.
I have taken on my first proper employee.
Oh,
And
congrats.
she's starting on the 1st of January.
Is she 0% VAT? Or is
Depends if
she
Hilary's
warm or cold?
wafting her in the...
I'm hoping
Are
she'll
you
be
going to let
warm.
her sit in or is she going to have to sit out?
There's a lot to think about. But yeah, it's really exciting, and it's probably I've been battling with this decision for about 2 years.
You have, yeah.
Because it feels like such a big step. And when it's just you, as long as you make enough to cover your bills and your mortgage, that's okay.
It's
Everything
okay,
else is a
isn't it?
bonus. But once you've got another human there and their whole livelihood depends on it, it all of a sudden feels like a massive, massive responsibility.
It does.
But I'm full to capacity. There's too much work and there's more work that I could be doing that I just haven't got time. And I can feel my service levels are slipping. Every email at the moment, I'm starting my reply with, "I'm sorry it's taken me so long to get back to you." And I don't like that. I want to be on top of stuff. I don't want to miss email. Like there was one the other day where someone had sent me an email saying Wednesday afternoon works for me, and I didn't see it until 5:30 Wednesday night. Like, that's no good. So luckily they were able to rearrange, but I don't like being like that. I want to get back on top of things.
Calendly.
Microsoft
So if anyone's
Booking.
going, do you want Microsoft Bookings?
I've used that before actually. Calendly, it works quite well. But then you've got to have the rest of your diary up to date, don't you? So
Yeah,
that
you
it
do.
doesn't.
Yeah, you
put
got.
it-
It's a bit
put
like
in-
the VAT stuff and making sure your bookkeeping's up to date. Since I've done that, it's been a lot easier because instead of going, can you do Tuesday at 10, Tuesday at 11, 11:30, 10:30, 1:30, 2:30, and you go,
Here's my calendar.
there's the
link.
link,
there's the
please
link.
look. But you got to make
Yeah.
sure that you keep it.
Yeah, so starting next year.
Yeah, starting 1st of January.
Wow.
Well, I'm letting her have the 1st of January off because it's bank holiday. So
Oh, that's good.
What a lovely boss
How
you
nice
are.
is that?
starting on the 2nd of January. So Resilient have very kindly provided all the IT for me.
Yes.
Michelle was setting up the computer yesterday.
Oh, really?
Very good.
I've
Good stuff.
ordered a desk. The desk's on its way. A chair's arrived, but I haven't assembled it yet.
Yep.
I don't know whether I get someone a bit handier than me to do it. I don't want to sit on it and it just collapse on the first day because I haven't tightened
Hilarious.
the right screw or something like that. But I was saying to Andy before, it's things like I've just realised I haven't ordered her a waste paper basket. I hadn't even thought. I've made this
Yeah,
big
it's
long
little
list.
things.
You know, I've got
Yeah.
lawyers sorting out the contract of employment. I've got Michelle sorting out the IT. There's all this big long list of big stuff that I was doing,
Forgot.
and I just never thought about having a little bin next to her desk.
Yeah,
But, like,
100%.
I'm going to also quiz you, Adam, now.
Go on then.
So, what do you think we're implementing now for Hilary and Sarah?
Teams.
Indeed, yes.
The way to do it. It is the way to do
Because
it.
Hilary was, again, I can say this openly in front of Hilary, because it was only you had Dropbox, so it worked absolutely fine. And then the minute that Hilary said to us, he said, I'm getting another employee, I just know Dropbox is not going to work for me. And, you know, Dropbox does work for some people out there with multiple, absolutely. But I think also, going back to your other role, you've heard myself and Michelle bang on about Microsoft Teams and how it does. And, you know, bless her, she came up and she went, I think I need Teams. This is what I believe my problems are. And we just went, yes, you need Teams, you need Teams.
Everyone should do it. It's brilliant.
And you've given me a little overview of it already, so I've had a little lesson.
Yeah.
But what we've agreed is that once Sarah starts, we'll have another lesson because she's used it. I've used it for meetings, but not for filing.
I was the
and
same.
stuff like
I was
that.
the same. I thought it was a video calling platform. That's what I thought it was.
Yeah. The only bit that's scaring me, and the bit that I know is going to catch me out a lot, is the fact that where you're opening a document that you've used for something, it will automatically save it. So if I'm using a document I've already got and I'm changing it,
Yeah.
I need to remember to save as and
No.
save it as a new
And
document.
before you even load it, you
Oh.
press the little 3 dot. What's that menu
Ellipses.
called? Ellipses.
And,
Menu.
copy
And you
to.
press copy to, chuck it in the right folder,
And
like
then-
create
then
the
start
right
working
channel
on
or
it.
whatever you're doing, and then you change the name, and then you work
and
your way
then do
through.
it. That's
Yeah.
that's the bit I think is going to catch
Just
me
flip
out.
that
It
on.
So I need
catches,
to-
it catches everybody
need
out, Hilary, to be fair.
careful with that.
Yeah.
I expect you're going to get a lot of phone calls from me the first month saying, "Can you get this document back for me?"
The good news is with SharePoint on the back end, it's all revision history. It's all easily done. But that point that you've made there, and we always talk about this on Teams, its advantages are so large, but all I get is like, yeah, but I don't like that I can't do, so I'm not going to use it for that one thing. And I'm like, okay, but you love the other 99 million things it does, but because it doesn't do that, you don't like it. No, I don't like it. And then we've had this discussion before. When I eventually get them to do it, it's always like, why didn't I do this before?
Yeah, I'm quite excited about
I know,
it.
It is
absolutely.
great.
It should be, you know, and obviously in terms of the other thing that Hilary was talking about, it's another person. Suddenly you're like, oh gosh, another person in the office, you know, shall I eat at my desk? Shall I do this? Shall I do that?
Yeah.
You've suddenly got to think it's not just you anymore.
No, it's a lot to think about. It's great because it's been 5 years of just me in
Yeah.
that room on my own. And before I suppose I've not shared an office with someone since video calls and virtual calls came in. So I don't really know what it's going to be like when we get to the point of having two of us on virtual calls. Am I going to do I need to get some headphones and headset? So Michelle was recommending some headsets to me yesterday.
Yeah.
Will we cope? Will it be that we don't have that many virtual meetings at the same time, that it's not an issue? So at first, I think it'll probably be quite useful for Sarah to be able to listen to me in the virtual calls, because that's how she'll learn. She'll hear, if somebody's talking about a property conversion, she'll hear me saying, what was it like before? What was in it? What are you converting it to? Who's doing the work? All those sort of questions will help her learn. But once we get to the point where we're both doing that at the same time, will we be able to do it, or will we be too loud? Will it be hard to concentrate if someone else is in the room?
I'm the loudest as well.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's loads of things like that
I know
never,
you don't
never
think
had to think about before.
No, exactly. So it's going to be exciting. I know you're excited about it.
I'm really excited. And she's excited as well, which is the good thing. Because when it's your own business, you kind of feel like no one else in the world is ever going to be as excited as you are about it. But when I was talking to her about all the things, so she's going to help me put systems and processes in, as well as learning about VAT. And she's really excited about it too, and got loads of good ideas. And one of the things they said at the Growth Lab event yesterday, the chap who was speaking, he said, start with a blank piece of paper. So don't look at what you've got now and think how you can change it. If you are starting from scratch, what is the best way to do it?
Yeah.
And that's kind of how I want to encourage Sarah to think, like, just because I've done it like this doesn't necessarily mean it's the best way.
Correct.
It's just the way that came naturally to me when I was doing it. So she might say, maybe if we file stuff like this, maybe if we use different file references, maybe you're doing this bit a lot on repeat, maybe we can streamline that. So I want her to be able to say it'd be better if we did it like this, and not feel like just because it's my business and I've done it like that, that's the way it has to be
but
done.
also, sorry.
That's all right. I was just saying, like Jess started with us this summer, and she brought a load of fresh ideas in terms of TikTok content and things like that. It was a really good injection to come. And, you know, I think from my perspective, I've learnt a lot from her in terms of partly, you know, she's slightly younger of that generation, the TikTok generation. Okay, right. But she is of the TikTok generation that use it on a daily basis. I'm not. No. You know, I am from a business point of view, if that makes sense. I am now. But she knew a lot more about the nuances and the details.
Yeah, no.
And I just sort of soaked it up. And equally, she's been learning stuff about wider marketing, wider production, what we've been doing in terms of media, and then delivering social media elsewhere, like LinkedIn and things like that.
Yeah.
So
I think Sarah's going to be a really good addition, because what we know, certainly from Adam's point of view, from my point of view, you know, we set up Resilient, Adam set up HubSpoke. It is you, and obviously you are literally in that position now. Every decision is you. Every action is you. Every thought process, every document, every process way of doing it's you. Now, all of a sudden, and this is why I know you're so excited, you've now got somebody to go, well, am I doing it right? Is this, what would you think? What do you think? And that bouncing back of that's how you get that creative spark and businesses grow.
And I'm really excited about all the things we're going to do. So I need to talk to you, actually, Adam, about maybe getting some photos and headshots and stuff
100%.
of her, because I want it, you know, on my website, on the LinkedIn,
you need
on
to
everything,
show
saying, look, this is Sarah.
The next challenge you'll have, and I can tell you this right now, and you have this, is you'll have Sarah working with clients and doing this, that, and the other, and people will still going, hi Hilary, just about this, and it's like, you need to speak to Sarah, because I actually don't know what's going on right now with it, as in she's handling it. So you've got to kind of, I think the more that you can lean in to go, this is Sarah, is a really important thing. You know?
And I want her to feel empowered and like she is part of the business. I don't want it to just be me and she's in the background. You know, I want her to get job satisfaction and enjoy the role, and because I realise that I'm incredibly lucky that I love my job. I get so much satisfaction every day. You know, when someone sends me a message and says, I can sleep tonight, thanks so much, you put my mind at rest. You know, I get so much satisfaction that I go home feeling brilliant. You know, I bounce home, and I know I'm lucky. Not everybody gets that from their job, and I want her to feel the same. I want her to go home thinking, you know, someone's having a better day today because of what
I've
done.
No, absolutely.
100%.
Yeah, and I think
100%.
you were saying right. If you we developed Sarah in terms of the profile on the website, and already you're working with us in terms of teams. So obviously automation is going to kick in. We're going to try and get you more productive in terms of what you do. So no, honestly, really, really, really excited for you. So hopefully in next year, in a couple of months, mid that, we'll get you back on. And
Yeah.
Sarah,
Yeah,
100%.
that would be cool.
Yeah, we'll do that.
yeah, definitely. And then we can right, Sarah. What do you think? Well.
She's all right.
She's all right, but didn't even get me a waste paper basket on day one.
What?
I haven't even ordered her any pens.
And she never got me any pens.
Well, because
I know a guy.
I've got.
He's got some.
I've got a
I've had
mug
loads
full
stored.
of. I've got a mug full of Brazilian
Yeah,
pens on the
exactly.
desk. But because I don't know if she's going to be one of those people who likes to do stuff all on computer, or if she'll like writing it down on paper. So I don't want to. I want her to be there and help.
Yeah, don't
decide,
stifle her.
if
Let her
she-
work with
if
her
she,
own.
If she wants paper and pens
Yeah.
and stuff, we'll get that once she's there.
No,
and
it's
she says what
brilliant.
she wants.
Well,
What a nice thing to finish on.
all I can say is thank you so much for that. Absolutely. Look, I know where the button is.
You did
now.
the right one.
Leave that yellow one alone.
I'll leave that one. Don't you worry.
I'm really excited about your growing, but that was an incredible insight into that, and I didn't realise how complicated it was.
It is. That's why it's fun.
It is. No, it's no
I know
wonder
that
people
I'm going
love
to
you.
go and buy a cold pizza later. Not a hot
And
one.
you can be smug at the checkout going, I'm not paying VAT on this.
Well-
And you know why? Hillary.
Yeah, but actually, from your point of view, all you care about is what the end price is. So if they're charging you the same,
Oh.
you,
Oh, now
I'll
there's
look
an
at that.
intro.
I'm going to look at that. See if the price is the same as a
if
hot.
the price is the same, then I suppose the supermarket are absorbing the VAT and
Yeah,
they're
that'll be
accounting
interesting.
for it. Or is it 20% more? Yeah, go and check.
I
Let
will.
us, let us
I
know
will.
next.
No, I'm
Go
gonna
to the
check that.
counter and ask for a hot pizza and say, oh, sorry, how much would that be? Right, hold that thought. Go to the
Yeah.
calculate it and go, yeah, actually, I can't be bothered.
Yeah.
Yeah, just put it in the basket. I can't be bothered.
Brilliant. No, I've really enjoyed that.
Yeah.
That's been
And what do
great.
you think? First podcast?
That was all right, actually. I was a bit scared.
You
before
were-
I
she
came,
was.
'cause
She was a bit
it's
scared.
like I've got my paper and my pen just in
Yeah,
case.
you
I've
filled
not,
it.
I've not written
You've
a
not
single
written a
thing
single
down.
thing. That's good.
No,
That's
that's
good, because
Yeah.
we've been talking the whole time. Yes, that was a lot less scary than I thought it was going to be.
No, and we will definitely get you back on with
100%.
Jason because that'll be more about the Darlington business.
Yeah,
Club.
we'll lean into
Yeah.
the business club.
We'll do
Definitely
that a
do
lot
that.
more. But that was great. Thank you so much, Hilary.
Thank you very
So,
much.
what we always do at the back end of these podcasts, I'll start off. What's going to be for you at the weekend?
I'm on the core team at Thorpe Perrow Park Run, and I am volunteering tomorrow. So tomorrow I will be out at 7:45 in the morning doing the course
Oh,
check.
my goodness me.
So that job involves going around the course and checking that it's safe. There's no trees have fallen down. It's not iced over. We can let everybody do it safe. So park running, in case you don't know, it's free event all over the country. There's hundreds of them all over the world. In fact, 9 o'clock every Saturday morning, everyone can come and run, walk, or jog 5k, and it's all dealt with by volunteers. So completely free, and you get an email at the end telling you what your
Yeah,
time was.
I've done the junior one with the kids on Sundays in South Park in Darlington.
Brilliant
really
event,
good.
isn't it?
Really good event.
And
Yeah.
so I'm doing the course check, and then I am also volunteering as tail walker. And the job of the tail walker is to come last. So if anyone's come and they've not done it before and they're worried that they're going to be at the back,
Last.
they won't be, because I will be
Don't
last.
worry,
That's
I
my
am
job
last.
is to finish.
Yeah,
Finish
I'll
behind
always
the
be
last.
last.
You could have a competition.
Yeah, exactly. No, I want to be last. No, I'm got to be last because I'm the tail walker.
It's my job.
It's my job.
But
I
it's
love that.
it's a nice role, because you get to talk to people and find out
Yeah.
what they're doing, why they're there, what they're wanting to get from it. And Thorpe Perrow is so beautiful, such a beautiful. So it's all off road, so it's going to be very muddy.
It's
Yeah.
fantastic.
But it's beautiful. And
Does it go through the play park, like over the
No, so it's
through the slide?
It's actually around the private estate at the other side.
Oh, is it? Brilliant.
So you get to see bits that you wouldn't normally get to see. So through some fields, loads of sheep, along a farm track, and then some more fields.
Yeah,
Oh,
any
that's
local park runners want to make the trip down to Thorpe Perrow, do it. It sounds great.
Definitely. So that is Saturday.
Saturday morning, 9 o'clock.
Sunday, relax.
Yeah, well, I've got a ton bag of mud to soil to move
What?
from the street into the garden.
Is that vatable?
Is that vatable?
Depends.
Depends.
But yeah, it was.
If you warm it up.
If you want, I was about to say, is it warm mud or cold mud?
But yeah, we our neighbour is a handyman, and he replaced our pond in the garden. But there's a
Right.
bit in the back where we need to infill it with some soil, and we ordered the soil, but it's on the road, and I need it in the garden. But the trouble is my husband's got a hernia,
Oh,
so he can't
bless
lift
him.
any of it.
Oh,
So
that reminds me, talking of tech, Hilary came to me a few early months ago and said, my broadband at home is... Where's the beep?
indeed,
My broadband at home is...
She turned into Morse code.
She did. And I said, you need Starlink. And she bought it.
Did you?
you did.
Do you like
And
it?
what a difference.
Yeah, it works. The only thing we need to think about now is they're called a mesh or something like that. Something to because it's
No.
What?
Excuse me, can you let her finish?
No, access points. Access points. We'll talk
whatever
to you.
it is that we
Yeah,
need
we'll do that.
to make it, because the house, it's an old house with really thick walls.
Yeah.
So I've got brilliant signal in my office where it comes in, and brilliant in the living room, which is directly under
Yeah.
my office. Rest of the house, not so much. So I need some sort of magic thing.
We haven't talked about
Wi-Fi
Wi-Fi yet.
yet.
around the
Mesh.
house.
You need ubiquity mesh access points.
And I thought that's what it would be.
Talk to me later.
I know a guy. Tim.
Yeah, it's me. We can do that.
We,
that's
need it's all
fantastic.
Wi-Fi, actually. We do.
Why?
Fi.
Okay. What about your weekend, Mr.
My weekend,
Adam?
I am DJing Christmas
DJ.
party.
Ooh.
Yeah, I'm at Headlam Hall tonight, and I'm at Headlam Hall tomorrow night. Christmas parties.
Friday and Saturday.
Friday and Saturday, double no rugby. Family Christmas get together tomorrow for 24.
Oh, golly.
What?
Just piling into my mother's house.
What?
Yeah,
Poor Jill.
Yeah, yeah. So we're doing. So I'll be helping with that in the morning.
Christmas
getting ready.
party, is that like an early thing or is it just...
Yeah, it's just when we can get everyone together. You know, some people
Right.
are NHS working weekends, this, that, and the
Oh,
other,
bless.
and
Right.
trying to fit everybody in. So,
Yeah, it's
I
difficult.
got that in the day, and then rugby with the kids Sunday morning.
Sunday
if it's on.
That sounds a lovely weekend.
Yeah, and we've got to go Christmas tree and put Christmas lights up and all of that. So quite busy actually.
Absolutely.
Like even
that's
so
a
even,
lot to fit into 2
even
days.
though I'm just DJing,
Yeah.
as in like the main thing that I'm doing on the evenings. Everything else is kind of
No,
filled
absolutely.
up quite nicely. So yeah,
Yeah.
looking. What
Good.
about you, sir?
Tomorrow is definitely Christmas decoration day. So the tradition in the Reed household is that we go up into the loft and get all of the Christmas decorations down. We start about 1, 2 o'clock with the mulled wine.
Okay.
I knew there would be wine
Oh,
involved.
God, there's
somewhere.
always
The decorations get put down and the wine comes out. Yeah.
Wine and Andrew and Michelle, Hilary. Yeah, it's like a perfect combination. And then the best Christmas movie in the world goes on, Die Hard.
Oh yes.
So it's Die Hard in the background, and we're putting the Christmas tree decorations up, followed by The Muppets Christmas Carol.
That's a good film.
That's
classic.
a good film.
There's one of the songs from that came on the radio when I was driving to work
Yeah.
yesterday. It was fabulous.
It's fabulous. And then, we don't know, it'll either run into that, but we may also sneak in The Grinch. It's a good movie.
It is a good movie.
I like it, as I say, it's good. But obviously
You
the
should have
big
got more
argument...
questions right at the business club quiz on Wednesday then.
No,
Yeah,
not
we
that.
didn't know what the
There were,
dog was
there were
called.
a lot
Did
of
we?
Grinch-based questions.
Yeah, but as I say, it's one of those ones, it's like once a year. And
What's
I've
the
never-
dog called out?
Max.
Max.
Yeah.
What's his heart size? 2 sizes
Two
too
sizes
small.
too small.
Yeah.
See, we all know now.
We all know
Yeah,
now.
we know now.
Jason, ask me again.
Yeah.
Ask me again.
Yeah,
But yeah,
no,
that'd
the
be
same
lovely.
ones, Jason.
Yeah. And then Sunday, just chill out with my dad. He's coming round.
Splendid.
Splendid stuff. No, nothing else from me on that.
No, brilliant.
So fantastic. I've really enjoyed that episode.
I've
That
really
was
enjoyed that.
fabulous. Thank you. Round of applause for that.
Yep. Hang on.
Right, put it back.
Keep forgetting to do the
You keep forgetting to do that.
I know, terrible.
Do you really?
Yeah, I do.
Okay. Thank you very much, Hilary. Right. Everybody have a great weekend. Take care, and we'll see you next week.
Take care. Bye.
Bye.
See ya.